President Trump just shocked the global economy. This after the Supreme Court just blocked one of his most aggressive tariff strategies. But within hours, he made it clear he wasn't backing down. He was going to switch tactics. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump exceeded his authority when he used emergency powers to impose sweeping tariffs on imports for dozens of countries. These were known as the Liberation Day tariffs, a baseline 10% tariff on imports for nearly every country, along with higher rates on China, Mexico, Canada, and others. The administration had imposed them under a 1977 law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. That law allows the president to regulate economic activity during national emergencies. President Trump argued the tariffs were necessary to protect American manufacturing, counter trade imbalances, and address national security threats tied to foreign supply chains. But the Supreme Court said the law didn't authorize tariffs of that scale. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that tariffs function as taxes, and under the Constitution, taxing authority belongs primarily to Congress. On the surface, it looked like President Trump's trade strategy had just taken a major hit. Check this out.
Well, sir, you warned once in a social media post that if the Supreme Court did this, shot down your tariffs, the U.S. would be, quote, financially defenseless. Are we financially defenseless right now?
No, because we're doing something in a different way. We're doing something in a very powerful way, and we're using things that some people thought we should have used in the first place. But it's more complicated. It's a little more complicated. The process takes a little more time, but the end result is going to get us more money, and I think it's going to be great.
Just hours after the ruling, President Trump stepped in front of cameras and said his administration would use alternative authorities, and that some of those alternatives were even stronger. This is the key detail. IEEPA was only one tool. There are multiple others. One of the most important is Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. This law allows the president to impose tariffs directly in response to unfair trade practices. President Trump used it extensively during his first term, targeting hundreds of billions of dollars in Chinese imports. There's also Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act. This allows tariffs on the national security front. President Trump used it to impose tariffs on steel and aluminum, protecting domestic production and forcing negotiations with foreign governments. These authorities remain fully intact. They don't rely on emergency declarations, and they are explicitly authorized by Congress. This means the Supreme Court didn't eliminate President Trump's ability to impose tariffs. It limited one pathway, but left others open. And this matters because tariffs are not just economic policy. They're leverage. The United States is the largest consumer market in the world. Foreign economies depend on access to American consumers. Tariffs